Hi, I'm Gary Smith. I live in Greenville, South Carolina, which is the home of Bob Jones University. The topic I want to discuss today is how did Bob Jones University get in the middle of the 2000 presidential race? But to tell that story, I need to tell you something about four Jones family men. Bob Jones Sr., senior son, Bob Jones Jr., and junior son, Bob Jones III. And the third son, Stephen Jones. All four men were presidents of Bob Jones University. The first Jones I want to talk about is Bob Jones Sr. He was born in 1883 and grew up on a family farm near Dothan, Alabama. His father was an immersed Methodist and his mother was a primitive Baptist. Bob Jones was converted at age 11 and was immersed by Baptists. But Bob Jones joined a Methodist church where he remained for the rest of his life. At age 12, Bob Jones held his first week-long evangelistic meeting. There were 60 conversions. At age 13, he started preaching on Sunday afternoons, and a Methodist church was organized from his converts. At 15, Bob Jones was licensed as a circuit preacher for the Alabama Methodist Conference. He was known as the Alabama Boy Preacher. By age 16, he was the circuit pastor of 5 churches. Bob Jones Sr.'s high school education consisted of attending a Methodist secondary school, and he later attended Southern College in Greensboro, Alabama. In 1904, Bob Jones left college and went into full-time evangelism. By the 1920s, when he was in his 40s, Jones was one of the most famous evangelists in America, in an age of famous evangelists. By 1923, at age 40, Bob Jones Sr. had preached 12,000 sermons in 30 countries to more than 15 million people. Jones revival meetings received significant newspaper coverage. I did a search on chronicling America and found the number of stories about Bob Jones revivals in the 1920s. I've cited 2 of those articles in the attached abstract and bibliography. Bob Jones Sr. was concerned about secular humanism that permeated America's college. The final straw for Bob Jones Sr. was the Scopes trial of 1923. So he decided to start his own fundamentalist college, Bob Jones College. Bob Jones Sr. started the college in 1927 in the Florida Panhandle. And the first class had 88 students. 2 years later, in 1929, the Great Depression began and this college barely survived bankruptcy. In 1933, Bob Jones Sr. relocated the college to Cleveland, Tennessee. My mother, was a student at Bob Jones College in Cleveland, Tennessee. And this is the check that my grandfather, a Methodist pastor, wrote to Bob Jones College in the amount of $25 for her tuition to attend Bob Jones College. The check is dated February the 9th, 1939. At the end of World War II in 1945, thousands of servicemen were enrolled in colleges on the GI Bill. Bob Jones College at Cleveland, Tennessee couldn't accommodate all the soldiers that wanted to attend Bob Jones College. So in 1947, Bob Jones College relocated to Greenville, South Carolina, where the school's name was changed to Bob Jones University. There were 2,500 students enrolled, and it was the largest Christian college in the world. On February the 2nd, 2000, George Bush, Republican candidate in the Republican primary races, spoke before thousands of students and faculty at Bob Jones University. There was a problem that surfaced immediately. Bob Jones University admitted African Americans, but banned interracial dating. The university claimed that the rule had been adopted because God had separated the nations at the Tower of Babel, as told in the book of Genesis. Because of Bob Jones' interracial dating ban, the university had lost its federal tax exemption. Immediately there was a backlash. because George Bush had spoken at Bob Jones University. News stories appeared every day about George Bush speaking at a racist university. Bush began apologizing for speaking at the school. Bob Jones III went on the Larry King Show about a month later in March of 2000 and announced that the university had lifted the interracial dating ban. In November 2008, the new president of Bob Jones University, Stephen Jones, the son of Bob Jones III, apologized for the school's past racism. Thank you very much.